Hello and good day to you, my beautiful friends. I do hope you are well. Welcome to Cross Button VR and our special Snap episode all about Behemoth. Reese, you and I have been playing that. Wow, what have we been thinking about Behemoth then? Go on then, give us your. We should start by saying this is very much going to be our first impressions,
Yeah.
keys for this game, but for some reason sent out very late, so we've not had a huge amount of time to play it. I think you've played a bit more than me, obviously, as you
Yeah,
can say for any VR game.
stayed up late.
So we will have our full proper review discussion in a future episode, but just we wanted to get something out for the day of the embargo. So yeah, this is just very much our first impressions because we just wanted to share what our thoughts on this game because we were very excited about it. So yeah, with all that, over to you, Reese.
So, not so much the first part when you load up, but when you get to the first mountain and you see the field of view on this game, my jaw dropped. And you sent us an image of it as well, getting all excited about it. And I tell you what, when you see it in the headset, I think people will know what part. It's literally near the beginning of the game, and you see that field of view, and you just go, "What?" Like,
Yeah,
it's insane.
I was a bit like, shall I share this? Because it's almost like a spoiler just for how impressive it looks, but it doesn't capture it at all. So it's not really a spoiler because it doesn't capture at all what it's like in the headset in terms of the field of view, and it's epic. This game is truly epic.
The thing is, like with the picture you shared, I think this is going to really showcase how great this game looks. Your picture looked like something that would be shared in like a press kit where they show gameplay shots and things like that, or art, things like that. When you actually play it in the headset, you just feel like you're outside. It was insane. Like, I don't think I've seen that level of field of view in such a long time in these VR games. And I think right there, even though we knew this was going to be a meaty, a big VR game, AAA, whatever you want to call it, that moment there made me go, "Wow, this is going to be good." Like,
yeah, it reminded me. You say that now, just reminded me of like in Hubris. There's a bit where you're standing on the balcony of the apartment, and you can see on the surface
exactly
of the planet,
that.
and you can just see for miles. And it's like you don't. You're right. You don't get it that often in VR. When you do, it absolutely blows you away.
Yeah, I suppose you never really kind of take into account field of view, and you don't ever go, "Oh, you need to see that far." But like when you see that far, and you go, "Actually, this feels how far I could probably see," and you see the distance blurring off a little bit, but not too much to where the detail's gone. And just looking at your hands, the floor, everything is so detailed. Like every single thing, they've just put so much detailing in. It's insane. It really is.
And you're right in that the very first time you start playing it, you're in a very foggy. You can't really see at all, and it's very closed and claustrophobic. And I think that's so that when it does open up, it's almost like it draws the fog lifts, and it's like whoa.
Yeah,
It gives you a minute to just acclimatize yourself to it and just to get used to some of the mechanics and orientate yourself, and then it's a fantastic VR trick. It's a real wow moment. Yeah,
I don't think I've had that wow moment in a long time like that with just scenery in a VR game. So huge credit there.
So just talk a bit more about this game then. So we've got I described it to you as it's kind of like Horizon but with good combat. Is in you have a mixture of exploring, quite a bit of climbing actually. I was surprised with quite a lot of climbing, very light puzzle solving. I don't know if you could easily skip some of it as well. There's that tower quite early on in the first level that you could just walk straight past, or you can go in it and there's some puzzles to solve inside it. And there's some hook shot, grapple. It introduces a lot of mechanics straight away, but it's all done in quite a easy to understand way. But it shares a lot of DNA gameplay wise, I feel, with Horizon Call of the Mountain, which I think is a great thing because it does a fantastic VR game. The main difference, obviously, though, is the combat is much more brutal, and you're picking up your shields and your swords or your daggers, and it's much more meatier combat.
Yeah. Well, I mean, now we're going on to the combat. From the trailers, and I want to kind of voice this a little bit, because from the trailers, the combat looked like it was very quick based in a sense, like they could just rush in and attack every enemy. I don't know if you got that kind of impression from the trailer. It kind of felt like the combat was pretty much you can swing as much as you want and take anyone out very quickly.
Yeah, it's not like that.
No, when you play this game, you realise your character has a stamina bar, which you can improve upon. But the combat for me, especially with some of the enemies, felt very like how you'd imagine Dark Souls to be, in a sense, where you take a hit, you take a few steps back, you block, you then parry, and it makes you have to think about these attacks.
It's methodical. It's very, and I love it when you hold your shield up and it can take the impact and it
You feel
splinters
that
a
on
bit
the
of,
sense as well, which is just
and
awesome.
the way that it splinters the shield away, and you think, oh shit, I'm not going to have to take too many hits if I just do this. So you can't just sit there and block and just absorb hits. You need to be tactical, and you need to try and deflect it, and then block if it goes
Yeah.
wrong. I love it. The angle at which you try and parry or deflect the sword strokes is really important, and you can stagger the enemy, and then you can go in for the counter. So each combat encounter is interesting and a challenge, and needs to be approached. You can't just kind of rush through it and try and spam the enemies, because
Yeah.
you'll get attacked.
And I mean, even with some of the enemies looking the same, you kind of go, "Oh, I already know which way he's going to swing." But they don't always swing the exact same way as well, which I kind of find pretty cool. Because on certain games, you're like, "Okay, that's a set AI there. That one's always going to be swinging from the right or swinging from the top." Now they switch it up, and I was like, "Okay, that then put me back on my feet." And I was like, "Okay, right, I need to concentrate." And some of the boss battles, like I'll talk about the Behemoth as well. I won't go into too much detail because obviously you haven't faced off the Behemoth, and I think as well with that situation, I think it's something you kind of want to hear a little bit. You don't want to hear all about it.
Yeah.
But some of the micro bosses, I would call them,
Hmm.
they were challenging, like very challenging.
Yeah, and just for people wondering about how this game works, there's 3 difficulty modes you can play it on. I forget what they're called now, but there's a standard one, and you can put it down to easy or turn it up to hard. You've got all the comfort settings you could want. It's really well done in that respect. You've got lots of control over the snap or smooth turning, over the speed at which you turn, speed at which you move. The controls you can toggle for grip. You can have it as a toggle grip, or just holding grip, or hybrid, which is what I use. Seems to work really well. So you don't have to squeeze down constantly to hold your sword. You can just toggle it, which is good, but you do have to hold down constantly if you're climbing up a rope. So it's logical and it works. I like that a lot. It's really easy to just press a button to shift the way you're holding your sword. So if you want to be a more kind of sneak up and stab someone, or if you want to hold it more as a conventional sword, you can do it single-handed or two-handed. You can hold a shield in one hand and the sword in the other, and it's really easy to just swap and to change up your thing. You can put the shield on your back and hold 2 hands if you've got a big broadsword, or if you've got a smaller one-handed sword. So there's lots of flexibility. You find lots of swords. It's very generous with that. So you can change up the sword and experiment with different things. And if you want to do daggers, or a single-handed sword, or a double-handed sword. So yeah, there's lots of opportunity there to experiment and find what you like.
Yeah, and I mean, like there is. I don't want to spoil things as well, because obviously, like I said, first impressions. But when you get further in the game, you notice there is more ways to kind of upgrade upon stuff as well. Which I'm going to keep that vague, because I feel like way you upgrade is kind of story based in a sense. So I'm going to leave that with that. But there is kind of things to upgrade upon to kind of make you want to work towards stuff as well. If anyone just thought this was quite a linear experience of you just going point to point, and you can go back to areas as well once you're done with them. You can teleport back. I was looking at the map, which I just want to say quickly, the menu system in this game's done really well. You literally grab a
So
scroll
cool,
and
isn't
pull
it?
the
Yeah.
scroll open. I thought that was really well done. And you can just click on the parts that you've been. You can fast travel back, because there are collectibles to find, which is another thing I've been really enjoying looking for.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff in the game. But yeah, let me quickly talk about the Behemoth. Just that the first one is all a fault. And it's pretty much the one they showed quite a lot in trailers. All I'm going to say, it's absolutely epic. It's one of them things that you will have to experience. I think watching it on a video and seeing them kind of try and make it look cool, they didn't need to try, really. It just feels cool. So yeah, I think everyone's going to have a really interesting time with that.
Oh, it's being nicely vague there. Maybe
Very
in a few
vague.
weeks' time
I
it
want,
can be a
yeah,
bit more once some people have a chance to play it. But
yeah.
yeah, I know what you mean. I mean, it's no spoiler to say there are behemoths, but I could imagine the impact and the experiencing that for yourself for the first time.
It's just the
a big
sheer
part of it.
size of them. In like when you watch it in a video, you're like, nah, and then you see it in the VR headset yourself, and you're like,
Yeah, and that's why I keep coming back to it. It's very like Horizon, in that you've like having that tall neck looms over you at the start of the game in Horizon, and the sense of scale in the world, it does it fantastically. Like you even walk up to big castles and keeps and stuff, and there's these towering towers above you that are just, the sense of scale is fantastic. I've never played Skyrim VR, but it does a great job of being in that setting and
pretty
that
cool.
world. Yeah, it's really good, and it looks, the graphics are really good. It's really sharp in the headset. It looks really nice. I don't know. Do you know if it's 90 hertz or reproduction?
I'm not too sure. I've not looked into all that kind of stuff. I've just jumped in and played. I mean, we have got a press kit. I mean, I could look through that and we can try and see if any of that's mentioned.
Well,
We can
maybe
talk
on the
about
next
that
episode.
Yeah. We'll
But
do a bit more of a deep dive.
It looks pin sharp though. It looks really nice and clear. They've done a fantastic job technically. I know you have had a couple of technical hiccups though.
Yes, let me quickly go over those. Again, these are something that may be fixed already because obviously they are doing a day one patch. But the issues I've had, one of them, they're kind of save issues in a sense. So if you go into one area and you do something and then you leave that area to go have an like explore around, say if you've broke something in that area that means you need that to open a certain door, that item will no longer be there, or it'll be now locked behind something that you've broke. So you'd have to load your save back. I noticed this more in the second chapter, I think, or the second area. I went to do something, and I was like, okay, I'm going to backtrack on myself and explore this other area. And when I went back, the sigil that you had to break to open a door had now gone, and the item was now locked behind that door, and I couldn't open the door again.
I think this is you've just found a way to break it, like you break all games.
I mean, maybe that one was definitely a bug. I mean, the first bit where I made it very janky and got stuck in a piece of like wood piping, I was like, why do I always do this? Well, yeah, it makes no sense. Does it? A little piece of branched wood, but yeah, I was trying to climb on it, and I got stuck inside of it. I was like, are you kidding me? Why do I always do this shit?
Well, I've had no technical issues. I've not played it as much as you, but hopefully, it sounds like what you've encountered.
I think it's things to be fixed pretty quickly, definitely. And if they're not aware of it, I'll try and let one of them know, and hopefully they'll then be aware of it, obviously.
But yeah, and that whole exploration piece is a key part of it that I think is really hadn't come across in the trailers before. That I really like that you're going through the levels, and if you're observant, you can spot there might be some handhelds that you can climb up and take you to a secret area, and the level layouts are really cleverly done. At least these kind of secrets are kind of hidden in plain sight almost. And then you'll inevitably find a good bit of gear or those collectible skull things that you have to crush. Or
they feel cool.
Yeah, it's really nice, and I like the way it dishes out the lore. You find scrolls, you find the skulls that tell you a bit more about the story and the backstory. The backstory is pretty light. They just say you've got some sort of blight illness thing that seems to be what's turning everyone violent and crazy and into sort of, I don't know, not zombies, but kind of manic, attacking marauders type people.
It was a bit culty in a sense as well.
And it seems to be you're on a quest. You have to kill the behemoths, and that will lift the curse from your village, and therefore heal you and stop the black rot from taking over all of your body. But that's a pretty cool setup. That's all I need. I don't know if it gets more in depth or more complicated and there's more revealed, but it's a pretty cool setting.
They play on the story a bit more, which I'm happy for, but it's not too much to the point where they overwhelm you and you go, no, get off, I want to go back to the action. It's kind of like they kind of feed it to you in little parts. And that's why I didn't want to talk about like upgrades and things like that, because I think that all plays into the story in a nice setting.
Well, I'm sure we're going to be talking about this a lot more in coming weeks as you finish it, and then as I take longer finishing it, inevitably. But from what I've played so far, it's very exciting. I'm so happy that it looks like a real tempo release for the headset, and it's fantastic on PSVR2. I think Quest is getting a patch. They've said
in 7 days' time.
Yeah, so I'm sure it will play perfectly well, but maybe something to just hold off just for a week if you can. There too, if you're a Quest player, but on PSVR2, certainly from what I've played,
we'll talk about the Quest version on the main episode on Tuesday as well, just so you can kind of hear. I'll try some of the Quest version and let you know my thoughts on that.
Right, well, we'll leave things there for now. If you've enjoyed this Snap episode, if you please hit like and subscribe, that would be great. Leave us a comment if you've been playing the game and let us know what you think about it, and we can read some of those out on the next episode perhaps. We'd love to hear your thoughts on it. Otherwise, we will leave things there. I've been Laurie, I've been joined by Reese, and we will see you again next time. Until then, it's goodbye.